I don't think we have students here really below the age 6, right? So a majority of the students here, it's between like 8 to 13 or 14. So I don't really talk about this part because this is really for the preschool or first grade, at most second grade. And they have the projects for the Scratch. Also, they have projects for the Python. And they do have one project for the hardware called microbit. I have microbit, but this year I don't really choose this one because I don't really expect a lot of students have this one. Also, this year they have a very good project called the sustainability at home. So that's a design thinking project. I will go through a little bit. I think this project is also very fun. And best of this project is that this project do not really require you to make any coding. So that means you are really able to just say, okay, I just create the project and I go through the questionnaire and then I write some kind of paper or some kind of agenda I want to do. So they have the worksheets. Okay, I will go through that. Okay, let's go through the first. Okay, before we start, we have something very, I would say it's very important. Since Moonhack is not a competition, so you should not really think you are really compete with somebody. But on the other side, Moonhack is more like a promotion. So they promote the idea of the coding. And if you have certain skill set, you can make enhancement of this project. This project always comes with the basic code. Then you can finish the code. Or if you cannot finish the code, use this, it's okay. You have your own idea, you can create your own code. But remember, you just follow the same theme. So for this year, we just learn about the sustainability. So that's something about our environment. How can we recycle or something like that? Okay, let's go through the cleanup first. So I believe a lot of students here know the Scratch. So I will quickly go through that. And the cleanup, wait a minute, cleanup is here. Okay, so this is the description of the cleanup. This is project use a Scratch. And so let's just say, okay, the human has been sending objects into the space for more than 60 years, something like that. But they have a lot of rubbish, right? And then we want to clean up the space. So they create a project which can simulate that. And you have the rocket launch, and then you probably find something in the outer space. And then you can make the decision whether you want to burn it or you want to bring that rubbish or something back to home. And whoever pay attention to the SpaceX first launch, I think it's about 2 days ago. They have a live broadcasting. I believe it's Thursday or maybe yesterday. Okay, so the SpaceX, they have the Falcon 9. They will launch and send 2 astronauts from Florida, JFK, to outer space, right? So that's a big event, and it's live broadcasting on YouTube and a lot of channels. And we do have a lot of rocket launch every year. So at the same time, a lot of rubbish has been generated. If we don't clean up, of course, we can think outer space is huge. But still, they go to certain of this back, and it can accumulate. If you don't clean up, that will become the problem. So this is just a simulation. Okay, you can download this starter project. What starter project means? You download some project which give you the basic, what's so-called the backdrop. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so this is something, this is not starter project. I have the starter project here, basically. Okay, so this is the starter project. Okay, so and that is running on the backend. So you have this is pretty much like something pre-built for you, but they don't refinish. They have something like the backdrop. They have all of these sprites. Of course, you have the rocket, you have the rock, tackle, and you have different icons, right? Of course, you have Earth here. Okay, but so that means you have an empty project, but you don't really have to draw everything because all of this image is not really so easy to create. For example, this one you probably have to import from somewhere, and this one you can build by yourself, right? So let's see how this looks nice. You can make the change if you want. Okay, so the coding part, they don't really do anything, and they give you the structure, and then you can follow that. You can finish the code. It's not really super challenge. Anybody really have some basic idea about how Scratch works can finish that, but we're talking about the challenge part. That means you want to make the rocket ship fly backward, right? Let me see. Okay, so this is really how it works. So you can fly over there. Okay, they ask you bring this rocket, bring this back home, or you want to burn it. Of course, this rocket, so I want to burn it. Okay, so they burn this rocket. Okay, and then you can move close to here. Okay, now you have tackle. Okay, so tackle I probably like to bring back home. So I bring this back home. So this is a pretty easy to implement stuff. And of course, they don't really have a lot of tricky, but you can follow the challenge or you can have your own challenge. Say, here, you don't feel able to fly backwards. So I try to fly backwards. It's not able to. You can only move left or right or move forward, but you cannot backward. So that will be one problem here. What's the problem here is that as long as you go to touch the edge, you're done, right? So you cannot really do that again. Another typical challenge is that they only have only one rod and one tackle. Can you create multiple of this, or you can randomly generate at random position? That's also some kind of challenge you can do, right? So just follow the instruction here, finish the basic one first, and then you can make finish some of this challenge idea. And you can also create some kind of talking rocket. So for example, I just rerun it again. I have this one, right? So if I hit certain place, instead of only sending me the message like this, can they also play back something which you can hear? So you can get the basic idea, you can play back the hint or instruction. You want to burn it or you want to bring it back home. So that's some kind of enhancement you can do. You can also make this fly, because currently the only have the rocket can move, but these are still set. It's not really very interesting, right? So you can create this rocket always flying around, and also this tackle can flying around. So you can make some of this happen. And you can also hide your buttons. So currently we have two buttons, right? Burning and burn and bring home. If you only give them the instruction, instead of you always have the button to click, you can say, okay, I define a key. If I define the key B as burn and define the key H as bring home. So you can only use, or you can just use the key to control it. You do not really have to have these two buttons, right? So it's a lot of possibility. You can create your own project, and we strong encourage every student try to make something different. At first, you finish the basic coding here, then you find something which you think it will make this program more interesting. Okay, So this is the first project, and then the second project is the drone planning. Okay, so let's go to here. Actually, before you go to the real coding part, you can think about why they have this idea. You can check this blog post, and I can play back something, and if we have time. So where do they get this idea? That's really very interesting. Okay.
Each year, there's about 15 million acres of forest that are turned into wood products. There's been 300 million acres that have been deforested since the 1990s. That same 300 million acres at current planting rates cost $100 billion to replant. The reason that we started this business is to make a dent in carbon emissions, and trees far and away are our best source to do that. There are no machines currently that humans have that can do that better and more efficiently. We think that robotics is a way to make reforestation truly scalable. Our end objective is using drones to plant tree seeds. We are paid per acre to plant tree seeds, spray to protect them, and then monitor their growth. This is a big drone. How big was it? We have one drone, you see right here, 3-gallon payload. Imagine 15 of those on this trailer right here. That's how we see us address a large forestry unit, both for spraying as well as planting in the future. It's a high-powered paintball gun, essentially. It's air pressure pneumatics fire tree seed capsule into the ground. Right now, forestry companies, they spend millions recruiting the labor to go out there and plant trees. This tree planter can replant somewhere between 800 trees a day, which is about 2 acres. One person with 15 drones could do the equivalent of 360 manual labor hours of tree planting or spraying in a day. We use a seed, so there's no nursery. There's no need for a refrigerated supply chain, and it's not an issue for us to put 80 to 200 different species into the hopper and then spray them all over the ground. It is a step function and disruptive technology. We're already in beta as far as a software platform that allows one operator to manage 15 drones simultaneously. And then that takes us into a whole game changer as far as the economics of reforestation, which is what we're super excited about. Drone Seed is the most important company working today in carbon sequestration through forestry. Do you believe that CO2 is changing the global climate? If you do, then carbon sequestration has to be a part of the global climate solution. If you have an automation company that makes it orders of magnitude less expensive to plant and grow trees, that's going to be part of the global carbon sequestration solution. It has to be. So that's, I think, the big idea for drones is to be a foundational player in driving down the cost of saving the climate. Replanting 300 million acres that's been deforested since 1990, that is a major step forward in reducing carbon emissions. What you can envision for the future is that one operator managing 15 drones replanting post-wildfire, or take it globally. There's been a lot of slash and burn agriculture, so how do you then go out and replant those in a cost-effective way? And that's where our technology comes in. And Jersey, we're trying not to the forest for the trees. Basically, like, I've got time on this planet, and I want to work on a problem that's worth solving. And to me, it absolutely makes sense to go out there and focus on the biggest thing that's threatening humanity. If the environment's not working, no social, political, or economic system is working. So that's why it's so important to get in there and plant.
Okay. So the whole reason I play back this YouTube video is just give you the basic idea. Even we are really doing some of this project over here, and you probably should understand or at least know some of this background knowledge. So that means in this story, we're really talking about how to saving off the big fire. You know, Australia has a huge fire, wildfire since last November, right? All the way until this January. It finally stopped. It takes almost more than 2 months. So hundreds of millions of acres has been burned. So some of this are really burned down, some of this partially. So that means a lot of ground, they're deforested. the forest was gone. It's very important, and it's massive area. So how can we solve that problem? So one of the solutions is that we are really just like that YouTube video, they use the drone to see them. So that's a bright idea. Then we come over here, make the simulation. And then you can see this is the drone here. And then same thing, you have the online code, the start project. So that means they give you the basic skeleton, and you do not share. Okay, I show you the start project. You don't really have everything, but you have the basic backdrop. The backdrop means that background image. Also, you have the sprites, so that's the drone. Also, they have the seating, something like that. Okay, so you can see they have the seat, they have the drone, they have the backdrop. Of course, you can create your own backdrop if you want. And then from over there, you can finish your code, something like this. It's not super challenge, but try to not really limit what you can do here. You can see if you follow this instruction, you can pretty much already finish the very basic coding. So this is very basic coding already been done, right? But I will demonstrate the basic part first, and then you can tell me what you want. Okay, so I don't really go through all of the technical detail. It's just because this are really not really super challenge of the coding, but I like to focus more on the challenge part. So that means, do you have your own idea? Do you want to really, okay, I have the space, right? So space, you can see, if you press the space key, it just clone and generate the new seed. And then the new seed will go to the ground. And when they touch the ground, okay, they can really grow the tree, right? So that's a whole item simulate how the drone seeding can do. So I put more seed, and when the seeds go to the ground, it can grow more tree, and the tree will grow from the small tree to the bigger tree, right? So this is pretty much a animation simulate. So simulate what you can get from this drone seeding, and hopefully the tree can grow up like this. Of course, in reality, it's not so fast. It cannot really grow so fast. Okay, so I put more seeds here. Just see if they can grow some more tree for me. Okay, if I don't really seeding anymore, I just let it run. Okay. So the base coding part is not super challenge, but you can challenge yourself to have more, give them more interesting touch. For example, you can animate your drone with something more than just make the left or right. You can also even make the move up and down, right? So that's possible. And also you can challenge them, say, okay, if you have too many seeds which you dropped, that will be a problem, right? Something like this. I don't know if I can do that, but let me try again. Just see if I can. Okay. Here they have the time in between, so it looks like it's okay. But still, if you put too much of this seed, it's growing just in one place and too dense. So it won't really make sense. So you can try to solve that problem. And also how to grow the tree is another challenge. You can see this tree can grow super big. Do you really want something like this, or you want them only grow to certain height, right? And of course, you can also smooth the growth. So when you grow with a small jump, that would make more sense. You can also add some of your own tree, because currently they grow like this. So that means all of this are pre-coded from the existing coding. And you can change that and make your own tree and make it more interesting. Or you can even say, okay, instead of growing the tree, I like to grow something which is not the tree, maybe the bush, right? Or maybe even the flower, white flower, right? It's perfectly fine. So you can use your imagination and try to make the enhancement based on what the template that provide to you. So check out all this code and try to be more creative, and then you can find your own interesting part and create some unique project and finish it. Okay, and I think this two project is really for the beginner. So that means whoever knows the Scratch, and of course the second project is a little bit more animation. So that's something a little bit more advanced. Even the code not really looks super challenging, but believe me, it's a little bit more advanced concept. And anybody have any questions here? Okay, so far so good. So we go through two projects. One is the space cleanup, one is the drone planning, and so you have the basic idea about how to finish that. So I make the quick summary. You open this file, and then you go to download. You download this start project, and then after you download, go to your own project. You have your Scratch project repository, right? So you can say, okay, I want to create something from here. For example, you just go to your edit. It takes a while to pop. Okay, so you can say, I want to create a new project. Then this is a new project. I can load from my computer. So as long as you download some program, you can load your project. I have a lot of projects, so that's really, you can upload your project. So after you, I choose one of the projects and upload here. Okay, so the have a current one. Okay, so this is a project you can upload. So download from here, upload into your own Scratch account, and then you can start the coding. Of course, this project do not have any code, so only give you the very basic stuff. Okay, so that's basically how the Scratch part of the project can be done. I always encourage you to not only finish the basic one, also try to create something more advanced. So that means the challenge part, also have your own challenge idea. That way it be even better. Okay, anybody have the question about these two projects? Okay, so that's pretty good. And now we move on to the third one. It's a Python project. I know one student already sent me the Python project. It's already a finished one. And from our past experience, the Python project, it's really not challenging, not too challenging. So let's try to make it be more challenging. And if you check from here, this Python project is about water on Mars, right? So the water is a must-have resource. Even we go to the space, if we want to travel to Mars, we really have to have the water. And so this is really a text-based survival game. So the player will have to make the water okay, they will have to make the water decision in order to survive for as long as possible without running out of water. Okay, so this is really something we don't really have in our real life experience, but instead we have to really think about how to code it through. They have the basic start code here, and this start code gives you some basic idea about what you can do at the minimum level. Okay, and you can see here. And then you can go through this and just try to figure out whether you can get some extra help. I don't really come over with every bit of detail. I just show you what they already have. So they have some of this text message, and then they have some kind of a number which represents how many water you have, and you can spot closely. So that means you have some place you probably can find the new water resource, right? And then they have the while loop. Anybody know the Python programming? You probably already know what the while loop means, right? So that means you check this condition if your water is larger than 0. So that means you still have the water. So what you can do, you can make the decision here. Okay. And this is a pretty straightforward coding part. And if you really want, you can start from this if you already know the Python. But I would encourage you to finish the challenge part. So that means you can change the daily water use. So currently you use 5 liters of water per day. And if you want to survive longer, you can use less than that. So you can change the code and see how can you say, instead of use 5 liters, I can use 3 liters. Is that possible? Okay. And you can also keep track of the days. So far, we only keep track of the amount of water a player have used. But in the other hand, if you can keep track of how many days has passed, that's also a good indicator of how long you can survive, right? They also have the challenge about output the day number every day. So currently, they're only using the day variable. At the very end, you can change the code to output the day number every day. That's very much possible. For example, currently say, the output will say, a day has passed, your water is 950 liters. And you can change that, say, okay, day 10, your water is 950 liters. Okay. And you can also add the daily event. So add some of the gameplay, just like every day you give the player a choice. That choice can determine how many water they can lose or gain. So that makes it a little bit more interesting, right? And you can also imagine, just in case we found some format of water in Mars, or in a sudden we have plenty of water, so you don't have to be so conservative. But you can think about whether we can use that water to plan to do something. For example, generate the energy, or you can use that water to create the greenhouse, right? So it's always possible. And you can also use the player's answer. So currently the player is responsible or responding to the question, and now we need to use their response to judge their water usage. So you can make all kinds of change. So do this challenge. It's about how to validate users' input. Sometimes you don't really get the yes or no instead of some other stuff. So you can tell them, okay, you don't really press yes or no. Instead, you press something like okay. Okay is not exist. It's not the right answer. So you can tell them, please answer yes or no. That's a pretty good training. This, in the programming term, is called the exception handling. So that means you have the normal procedure, but sometimes your normal procedure don't really apply here. What you can do is that you give them some kind of exception handling. So this part is exception handling. Okay. And then you have some other challenge, like you can add more events, right? So there are different events, but you can add more. So do the Earth game. So you can modify the game about the Earth instead of Mars. So even we're living on Earth, we still have to conserve the water use, right? Not only in Mars. Maybe not 3 or 5 liter, maybe we can consume 8 or 10 liter. But this African country, especially like the Sahara Desert, they have very limited water resource. So they have to really live like they are living on Mars. So it's very possible. So you can think about that. You can also give them the chance to play again if they lost again, right? So that means end of the game, you want them to continue to play. So that's a lot of different challenge. To be honest, the start of this project is not hard, but if you want to finish a lot of this extra challenge will be not easy. Not say impossible, it's very much possible, but it's not super easy. You have to really pay attention to every detail. Okay, so this is really about the Python coding project. And then this year, one thing I really like is about the design thinking. I open this, and so this is a worksheet, and then this is really a tutorial introduction. So the tutorial of what you will make is create your own social enterprise. What you can learn is that, of course, you offline design thinking and your communication skill set, your collaboration, and your entrepreneur skills. And you can download the worksheet. I already downloaded. I will show you here. And then you go through that with your friend, with your family, or your class. Currently, we don't have the school, so we don't have the class member, but you can always discuss with your friend either in the same school or different school online, right? Okay. So they have some of this introduction. So they tell you, okay, they will create, just say we want to create a unique business to help save the environment. From now on, you just think yourself as a social entrepreneur, and just a fancy way to use business to help make the positive social impact, right? So the activity is try to design something fun. And of course, you need at least 2 people to help you to set up this unique business. So the breakdown into step by step. And you need to understand your customer's problem. You need to create a solution, and you need to test your prototype. You just think yourself to create some kind of small business. It can be start from the small, like any startup, and they can grow into be super big. So it can be the really big company, right? You think about that. Okay. And they have the interview part, and so you go into pairs and take turns to interview each other. For example, you have your brothers or sisters in home, so you can interview each other and take a turn, right? So the purpose of this interview is really understand another person's thought and feeling, problems, and needs, so that you can create the perfect product for them. So that's what we call the social enterprise, right? And at the end, you find the sample question, and you can really go through that interview. Okay. I will show you in this worksheet. Okay. So this is worksheet. This is the first part of the interview, and the first boys or girls interview another boys or girls, and then this is another interview. Okay, you can write down everything. This is really say, what's your thought, what's your feeling, what's your problem, what's your need, right? And of course, this is all associated with how to save the environment. So that means save the environment around your house, save the environment around the community, or even save the environment around the country or countries, right? So from the small to big, you can think about. And then they go through the problem statement. So you make your summary of all of what we learned from the empathy interviews. So at this stage, you can understand your customers, that's your care, right? And what's the problem they face. And you can fill up the worksheet and write down the most important thing you think your customer needs. So you have here, you need to minimize what you learned, not really have overwhelming ideas. So say problem statement, say who, for example, your sister's name is Sarah. Sarah lead, what's Sarah's lead? Sarah lead to conserve the water usage. Because of what? Because she watched the YouTube video and found some of these African kids not really able to take the shower for the whole week. Okay, so that's one thing. She feels kind of sad when she watched that news, and so she feels that conserve the water is really important for her, right? So you have some idea. You can come out with 5 different ideas as a solution. I don't really know too much about how you think, but for me, if I want to conserve the water, I will think the first one is the bathroom. So maybe try to encourage every member, a family member, not really take too long time for one shower, right? So that's one thing possible. Or you can save some water. Say, okay, if I have the water really used to clean up somewhere, maybe not say clean up the vegetable, something like that. Can I use the same water to water my garden, right? So because you clean up the vegetable, not really make it poison. Actually, it's pretty much you can recycle and reuse the same water, right? So you have 5 different ideas you can put over there. Okay, so that's the second step. The first is interview. Second is make the problem statement. Of course, it also comes with the idea. So this is the idea. And then you get the feedback. And the feedback is really say, okay, you found your idea and you think that's the solution. You come back and ask them, say, okay, this is my idea. Do you think this solves your problem? Or do you think this close to the idea what you think will work with you? Because they only give you the problem, but they don't really have the idea. Probably they can give you some feedback, not always, but sometimes. Okay, so you can create a tool to help minimize the environment impact of your household. So that's something as a challenge. So share the idea with for the feedback. So you can collect the feedback, and then you can redefine the problem statement. So you can say, oh, my problem statement may not be that good. What Sarah really like, it's not really only save the water in our household. Maybe she also wants to create some kind of recycling method for the public or the community use. So, for example, in the public school or in some of this park, how to conserve the water. Okay, so that may be the problem what she feel more urgent. Okay, so you can redefine the problem statement and then create your final prototype. Anybody here probably not sure ever create the prototype. Prototype is really something means you are not to build something as a full assembled product or project. So that, but you still can create something which can show your idea. For example, I want to create some kind of like the robotic car, but before I can really put together a robotic car, I can really create a small prototype of which I think I can use the cardboard to cut through and get a cup of wire, and then I don't have to use the battery. Instead, I can put a form over there and then simulate, okay, this is my battery, I can move this around. So that's called prototype. prototype is really very important. It saves your time, and it can give you the chance to collect more feedback, and you can test it. Okay, some prototype is more advanced than some other prototypes. Some prototypes, it's really a full scale of the product. But some other prototypes, it's just a very bare bone idea-like product. So it has nothing but a very minimum style of the product. So you can take 5 minutes to create a final prototype. So I don't really expect you can create something really fancy. So you can join something, create some kind of diagram, and you can quick presentation, and even you can create some kind of a dance. Okay, that's crazy. I cannot do that. But anyway, you can present your prototype to a partner, and you can share your pitch to the world. So that means you can post on the social media, Facebook, Twitter, somewhere, Instagram. Okay, so now congratulations, you have completed a design thinking exercise. If you're thinking about the design thinking exercise, they really come with this 7 steps. The first 6 steps are really as a circle. You can go through a couple of times. And then the final prototype, you still can collect the feedback. So just like somebody creates a small business and grow the small business to become the bigger business, you can always create something from the small to big. And of course, you have to find the problem first, then try to find the solution of the problem, and you have to constantly collect the feedback. Otherwise, you will create something out of your own mind, but may not be useful. It's probably sometimes totally useless. I don't really say useless is something really bad. I just say, if you want to solve some problem, of course, you want to collect the feedback and make that to be useful, right? Okay, so that's pretty much what we covered from the beginning to the end. We covered 2 Scratch projects, a Python project, and this design thinking project. I don't really go through this hardware one because I think most of the kids here may not really have the microbit. This is a very low price hardware, but unfortunately, a lot of you probably still don't really have that. That's okay. As long as you can finish any of this project, this one I just skipped here. And okay, so far so good. Anybody have any question here?
Yeah, David, how do we submit?
Yes.
How do we submit the thinking project? Do we just
thinking project? That's a very good question. And actually, for the design thinking project, I think you should finish this worksheet, and then you send this whole worksheet back to me. I will submit that as one project finished as a group, because we are the code club here, so we can submit multiple projects. So anybody finish anything around, I think it's tomorrow and the day of tomorrow. Yeah, this Sunday. Before the midnight of this Sunday, please send that to me. It's better before like 7 or 8 p.m., like the dinner time. You send that to me. That will be even better. So I have time to submit it online. Yeah. At the same time, if somebody comes here late, I showed you guys what we did over the last couple of years, like the 2018, this one. We have finished a lot of projects at 2018. So this is all of this project we finished. And so do the 2019. Okay, 2019, we finished some of this project here. And if you see every project finished by certain students, we keep the credit. So their name will be keep track here. So in case you have your small group, you can give me multiple names, so I can put multiple names. But that's associated with the project or design thinking worksheet, what you sent to me. Yes.
So
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sort of. Do we just take the picture of the worksheet and
no, worksheet, That's a very good question. This worksheet is the PDF.
Yeah.
Yes.
Print out, write on it. So how do we send it back to you?
That's right. I guess you can take picture. It's not really super good. Okay, let me think about if I can.
We can scan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's better you can scan that as a PDF, send me back, because that's one file. If you take picture, if you see that, they will have multiple pictures, so it will be a little bit hard to make it to be one file. So, yeah, please try to, even you take picture, please try to put the picture together as one file sent to me, so I can post just like here. Of course, sometimes we post multiple pictures for one project, but most times we don't really do that, and because that will make it a little bit more hard to work out. Okay, any other questions? Okay, and actually I have one thing very interesting in case somebody already take our Python game programming class, or somebody like to self-study and finish this project, make the enhancement. This is a game project. They have the basic one, but you can make the enhancement. So you can make some kind of Python game which use the Moonhack theme. So it's already low. So I'm still waiting. It's loading. Okay, just give me 1 minute. It's almost there. Okay. Okay, so this is. So you can see, right? So I can shoot, and I have the life, and then this aliens, and this is the space fight jet. So I can lose my life, and I can also have my soul, and you have the aliens left, something like that. So far, this game is very dumb. They cannot really move around, so that means I can only stay at the central point. But if you know how to make the enhancement, let me know. This can be a very interesting one. Certain enhancement idea include you can make the moon as a background image. So that means, oh, you have a moon here, and then you are really have this. Okay, so this can be really fun. Okay.
Fightinggame.py.
Okay, so yeah, anybody have interest in to make the enhancement of this, let me know. I share the source code to you, and then you can create your own stuff. Of course, after you create that, you can send that project back to me, and yeah, we can post that on the GitHub.
Yes.
Okay.
Go. Okay.
Yes, I know a little bit of Python, and I kind of want to make this game to enhance it. But how do we get to the original code? Like, is there like a link or something? Like, you have this.
Yeah, I will send you guys the link of the code.
Oh.
You have the basic source code like this. Then you can make your enhancement based on that.
And
yeah.
After we're done with that, we just we send it back to you, right?
That's right. After you make the enhancement, you send me back the whole project, because this source code is more than one file. Actually, they have multiple files. So that's why. Okay, I show you what the file looks like. Okay, they have one Python file. They also have a lot of data files. So that means they have a lot of picture files here, and they don't really have any sound file. So if you want to add the sound, you can add the sound. It can be more interesting. For example, you hit the aliens, you can create some kind of sound, right? And yeah.
So this is like a optional one, right? So this is it okay if it is like past the due date, because we
It's okay. You can pass the due date, continue working on that. But I have to check their policy, just see how how far away we can submit that over. Yeah, for Moonhack, they have a cut-off date, so that means they have a deadline. But for this project, you don't have to really say, okay, if I cannot finish by 2 days, what I can do? You can still continue working on that. It's nothing wrong. Yeah. Just let me know if you have interest about that. So I will share my code with you guys, and then you can start working on that. Okay. Actually, I'm trying to post that on my Google Drive and then share on the WeChat group, and then you can come over and see what you can do. Okay. And anybody have any question here? Okay, so sounds good. And yeah, I see we have up to 9 participants, and some of you may already have the basic idea, some others may be the first time, so you don't really know too much about how the Moonhack works. But anyway, I encourage you to check out, I will post one page on the WeChat group, and then your parents can help you to figure out which project you can finish. Even you cannot finish any project, it's okay. You're welcome to check out this, just learn something. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, appreciate everybody here, and we have a great meeting, and I hope most of you can finish something, and then I will post the project for the Moonhack 2020. And let's see, we only have about 2 days left. I'm sorry that we start a little bit late, but for most of the kids who have the knowledge about Scratch or Python, this should not be super hard. So I believe 2 days should be good enough. If you concentrate, you can finish that in like 1 or 2 hours. Then you can spend another 1 or 2 hours to make some of this challenge. So you can really make your own version of that project. Okay, any more questions here? Okay, so we don't really have any questions. And everybody have a good night. And remember, we have our deadline for the Moonhack. It's this Sunday, midnight. So try to send that project back to me before that time. Of course, I prefer at least 3 or 4 hours before. So I have plenty of time to organize it. In case you miss some files, I can still put together and send to the code club. Okay, thank you so much, and wish everybody have a great weekend, and hope to get your project